The Inheritance That Burned, a story about truth, betrayal, and the fire that could not destroy a legacy. They used to say the Browning family didn't just build their empire, they inherited it. Old money, old rules, old secrets. And for most of my life, I was told that I didn't belong to any of it. My name is Claire Browning, though for a long time that name didn't open doors, it closed them. I grew up watching my father, Daniel Browning, run our family's business with a voice that could silence a room and a stare that could break glass. My mother left when I was 6. By the time I turned 16, my father had remarried a woman named Vivienne. Elegant, smiling, perfectly poisonous. And she brought a son into the house, Austin, who treated me like a distant relative someone forgot to erase from the Christmas card list. After my grandmother Eleanor passed away, I thought the hardest part was losing the only person who ever believed I could make something of myself. Turns out, I was wrong. The hardest part was what came after. The day of the will reading was gray and sharp, like the world itself knew something ugly was about to happen. We gathered in the study of Eleanor's estate, oak panels, polished silver, the faint scent of lavender and smoke. My father sat rigid beside Vivienne, whose pearls gleamed like they were waiting to choke someone. Austin leaned back in his chair, phone in hand, pretending to be bored. Mr. Lawrence Pierce, my grandmother's attorney for 30 years, adjusted his glasses and began to read. To my daughter-in-law, Vivienne Browning, I leave the summer home in Maine and its contents. To my grandson, Austin Browning, I leave the yacht Morning Star and a trust fund of $25 million. Austin smirked. He thought that was the end. Mr. Pierce cleared his throat. And to my granddaughter, Claire Browning, I leave the remainder of my estate, including my controlling shares in Browning Industries, my intellectual property rights, and all remaining assets totaling $42,310,000. The air turned electric. My father's jaw clenched so hard I could hear the grind. Vivienne shot to her feet. She must have forged it, she spat. My mother-in-law would never. Before she could finish, my father snatched the document from the lawyer's hands. He didn't even read it. He walked straight to the fireplace, struck a match, and tossed the papers in. The flames devoured my grandmother's handwriting in seconds. Ash drifted up like gray snow. He turned to me. There, he said, voice trembling with rage. Now it's gone. I didn't move. I didn't even blink, because what he burned wasn't the real will. Weeks before her death, Grandma Eleanor had handed me a small leather box sealed with a gold clasp. Her hands shook as she pressed it into mine. Don't open this, she whispered, until the fire comes. Now, standing in the ruins of that moment, I knew exactly what she meant. That night, I opened the box. Inside, a USB drive, a folded letter, and a photo of us sitting in her garden, both of us laughing. The letter read, If you're reading this, Claire, they've done what I feared. Let them burn what they want. The truth can't be destroyed. It only hides until someone brave enough brings it back to light. I plugged in the drive. A video file appeared, finalwill.mp4. Eleanor's face filled the screen, tired but steady. Claire, my darling girl, she said softly. I've seen what they do to anyone who threatens their power. But power doesn't last. Integrity does. They'll call you weak. They'll call you foolish. Let them. Because you are the only one strong enough to build something from ashes. I sat there for hours, watching it again and again, as rain hit the windows like applause. The next morning, I went to the bank to check the account tied to the inheritance. The teller frowned at her screen. I'm sorry, Miss Browning, she said quietly. But this account has been closed. Closed? Yes, marked inactive due to the death of the account holder. I stared at her. I'm standing right here. She hesitated, then turned her monitor toward me. There it was, a death certificate. My name, my birth date, filed 2 weeks earlier, signed by my father. From that moment, I understood. They weren't just stealing my inheritance, they were erasing me. I spent days piecing together what they'd done. Forged signatures, false legal filings, a web of lies so tight it could suffocate anyone who tried to pull free. But I wasn't anyone. I was Eleanor's granddaughter, and she had taught me one thing better than all the rest. If someone tries to bury you alive, dig your way out and make them watch you rise. I found Sylvia Hayes, a corporate lawyer with a reputation for cutting through dynasties like a scalpel through silk. She studied the USB, the signatures, the bank records. Then she looked at me with a glint that felt almost like respect. "Claire," she said, "we're going to make them regret ever learning your name." We filed a suit, and when the day of the hearing came, the courtroom buzzed like a beehive before the storm. My father sat stone-faced at the defense table. Vivienne wept theatrically beside him, and Austin scrolled through his phone like a man too arrogant to see the ground breaking under his feet. Then Sylvia pressed play. Eleanor's voice filled the courtroom. "If you are hearing this," she said, "then those who share my blood have betrayed it. My legacy belongs to Claire, not because of lineage, but because she never asked for anything but the truth." Silence. Then the judge exhaled slowly. "This court recognizes the authenticity of the documents. The estate of Eleanor Browning belongs solely to Claire Browning." For the first time in years, I saw my father look small, truly small, like a man who finally realized the world wasn't his to control. Weeks later, a letter arrived at my door. No name, no return address, just one photograph. My mother, smiling beside a lake I didn't recognize. On the back, in her handwriting, "She knew, and she wanted you to find the rest." The address led me to Vermont, to a cabin that smelled of pine and dust. Inside, beneath loose floorboards, I found my grandmother's old journals and a folder labeled the Eleanor Foundation. It wasn't another fortune. She'd started a fund, quietly, secretly, to help women who'd been stripped of everything by the people they trusted most. Her final note said, "Claire, this is what money is for. To rebuild, to heal, to make sure no one else is silenced the way we were." Today, that foundation exists. It helps those whose names were erased, whose voices were stolen, whose lives were rewritten by someone else's greed. Sometimes I visit the old house on the hill. The fire still burns in the hearth, and Eleanor's portrait watches from above, her eyes steady, almost alive. I light a single candle beside her photo and whisper, "They burned the will, Grandma, but not the truth. Not me." And in the soft glow of that flame, I finally understand. Some legacies aren't built on money or property. They're built on fire. The kind that destroys lies and lights the way home.